Herald-Times sports editor Chris Korman, joined by Dustin Dopirak. We are using a new computer today.
And it freaked us out a little bit right there.
Brand new,
kind of paused.
Brand new MacBook. We'll see how this goes, if it goes.
If it goes. Hopefully it works.
One thing did not go today, the Indiana basketball team. I feel good in saying that. The players and coaches thought they fought hard enough.
They did.
Said that they came and had the hustle they needed and just
failed to execute.
Didn't execute some things, and Iowa hit some tough shots. It's like I wrote on the blog. I wrote right after the game that, Crean had challenged them to show fight and hustle, and that he had not been rewarded in any way. And we got to the press conference, and pretty much everyone was saying that they thought they did see what they needed to see in that side of the game. I don't know.
It's when you're around a bad team or a team that's really, really struggling. In some ways, games like this actually qualify as better than the worst you've seen. So, I guess maybe they thought that it was definitely better than, say, Ohio State and Wisconsin in terms of just flat out effort. Right. Does it come close to what they had when they were actually coming really close to winning games and actually winning games? No, but it's been worse. So, I guess once you're on a streak like this, that almost seems like a positive. So it's tough to really quantify. It's really a subjective thing anyway. I guess if they want to believe it.
That's basically what I wrote in my column. You sort of nailed it. Is that eventually, what do you do? You just sort of got to believe in yourself, and it's faith. You just got to believe and hope that believing begets believing. That you'll. That believing in yourself will actually allow you to do things that warrant you believing that you can do those things.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Does anything make any sense anymore?
No. And that really is where we're at. This team is at a point that it's on a 10-game losing streak.
7? Shoot. 7 in a row by... Yeah, 7 in a row by double digits.
He just figured that out in his head.
That's a problem. I actually need to call Pat and change that. But anyway.
Pat's not working tonight, so
okay,
you
whoever's
you bother him at home. He's probably enjoying a lovely evening. I don't know.
Anyway.
Watching a movie, maybe.
One way or another, I have to call and make an edit. The point being, that's a lot in a row that have not been even remotely close.
So break down this game for me, what you saw, what you remember, how you saw it, because Iowa got out to a 12?
17-4.
Okay, 17-4.
Yeah.
Indiana cut it. They did.
They got it down to 5 early in the second half. 5, I guess, right before the half, and then down to 5 at the end of the half. And then there was a period where it was kind of slowly slipping away, where they kind of carved it out to maybe 10 or 11. Then Iowa went on a 10-1 run that made it 20, basically. And then towards the end of the last 3 or 4 minutes, Indiana was scrapping. Iowa pretty much really let up. It really stopped playing defense. Jeremiah Rivers and Devin Dumas had back-to-back really easy drives that they really didn't get defended on, and they managed to start to make it at least a little bit interesting. Right. And that made the score look maybe a little bit better than it was. But basically, Iowa, more or less stumped them. Indiana had just long stretches where they couldn't score the ball at all, especially early. I think it was 9 minutes and 12 seconds. I think they went without a point in the first half during that 17-4 run. A few obvious problems that are discussed. Indiana had 20 turnovers to 4 assists. Which is a terrible ratio. A lot of those came on traveling calls. And Crean and the players just said, it was just a case of really just hurrying, of being in position and trying to do something before you could really slow down and get your feet.
Crean said, we work on that in practice. We go over fundamentals. We're tough on it. Just didn't work.
There was one blatant one, and Watford kind of admitted this, but he had an easy layup.
His eyes got too big.
His eyes got way too big. He caught the ball, and he was just totally... legs were going, way too fast for his body, basically. And he even said, I was too open. I was way too open for that. That was exactly the words he used. And, so it was a bunch of that. Iowa turns that into 23 points, which obviously is a major issue. And Indiana didn't shoot it really all that well to begin with anyway. They just looked stagnant. Like they just didn't have any real options offensively. And Verdell Jones ended up hitting some buckets that, again, made it close the first time and then got some late ones that made his stats look pretty good. 22 points. I think he was 7 for 10 from the field, which is a nice-looking line. It looks like he had a lot better game than he actually did. But yeah, we couldn't really do anything on offense. Did a really poor job of defending screen and rolls. Basically, Iowa got a lot of things going on a screen and roll because they had. First off, Matt Gaten's really started hitting in the second half. Scored 25 points.
Right.
They obviously had to defend him, so they were using the bigs to hedge out. And when they did that, basically Aaron Fuller and Jared Cool rolled to the basket and got some easy buckets. And we kind of talked about this with the guys. They apparently were hedging a lot more than they usually do, doing a lot more. Bigs were showing out a lot more, and they really had a problem sort of getting back. I mean, I saw Watford and Capobianco both really hedged far out, and Fuller and Cole just rolled right in there, got easy buckets. So they really couldn't defend anything well. Iowa really could have made this a rout early if they hit some open 3-point shots. They were 1 for 12 from beyond the 3-point arc in the first half, and a lot of those were very makeable. I mean, they had some open looks that they didn't knock down, and as bad of a blowout as it was, it could have been a lot worse if they hit some of those.
Why is it that this Iowa team, Tom Crean obviously always talks about no program went through what we went through, no program started where we had to start, but this Iowa program is, if there's anything close in the Big Ten, and I'm not saying that it's within the same realm, but it's had some, it's had some defections. Jake Kelly left. Its leading scorer last year, Jake Kelly left. Jeff Peterson left. He was the third leading scorer, leading assist guy, leading steal guy. He transferred. They lost Anthony Tucker earlier this year. He was the leading scorer at the time, I think. And so today they started, I think, 2 sophomores, 2 freshmen, and then a junior. Yeah. And IU started, Bobby Capobianco started in place of Tom Pritchard, so they started 3 freshmen, a sophomore, and a redshirt junior in Rivers. Yeah. And so really the difference when you look at that, and there wasn't much bench scoring. I think IU had 13 bench points and Iowa had 1. So when you look at those starters and the difference, it's that one player, the junior, was there with Licklider from the beginning. Licklider's been here 3 years. Right. Licklider's had 3 years to get his program in place, which Green talks about a lot. You got to get that. You got to build that culture, build that mentality of the program. Right. So Licklider is a year ahead. Is that the difference in these 2 teams now, or what are we seeing? Because
there's. In terms of that question, I mean, we could go on with that for a while, but
we only
really
have 2.5 minutes.
I know, but really, to put it this way, Iowa is just a horrible matchup for Indiana. Because the type of players they have. I mean, like, Aaron Fuller and Jared Cool might not be that great in the scheme of Big Ten big men, but the type of players they are is the exact type of players that Indiana cannot deal with inside. They are big, muscular dudes, and they push Christian Watford around, mostly. I mean, Derek Elson was even a little bit better against him today, but they push around Capobianco and Pritchard, and mostly, Watford has a really tough time against those kind of guys. I mean, those dudes are jacked, basically. I mean, those, like, Fuller really just was really just throwing him around today. Whenever he got the ball inside.
Watford, you mean?
Yeah. Watford, really whoever was on him. When Fuller got the ball in the low block, Indiana couldn't do anything to them. Against some of the better teams, those guys aren't as effective, but they just eat Indiana alive.
So when's Indiana? When do they become a team that can beat Iowa? When do they have something that Iowa can't counter?
If you I guess the plan is if Tom Crean's answer would be next year. I don't know that will happen. I'm not making that promise.
I wasn't even talking time-wise, but when do they have this type of players? Does having Maurice Creek make a huge difference?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Is that what they missed today, that guy
they've missed that all year.
Oh, sure.
Having a guy that can just score. But basically, I guess the big thing that Crean keeps coming back to, and it is true, it's just a question of whether it will actually occur. They need guys who have been in a weight room for a year. Christian Watford still has a freshman in college's body, really a high school guy's body. The question is, does he develop the way they say that he should?
Right. Like Fuller did. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Aaron Fuller. I don't know how big he was as a freshman, but right now, you can tell.
Crean said he developed into one of the high level players in the Big Ten.
Right, and those guys
take his word
have been in a weight room, so. Maybe a year of Watford and those guys being in there does that. If it doesn't, then that's when you start to ask questions about, okay, is this really going to happen? But that's sort of the explanation is, look, these guys haven't been in there long enough, and they just flat out physically get thrown around right now.
Dustin Dopirak, staying patient,
I guess.
Seems that way. I don't know what to think.
I don't know either, really, but that's part of my answer.
We'll leave you with that.
Yeah.
How mysterious with our new computer.
It's nice, actually. But anyway.
I like this shot, too. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, guys.
Good on that one.
We'll see you. Purdue this week. Should be a fun one. Take care.